So the first game I've been playing for the NFGL this month is SoulStar. SoulStar is a 3D shooter that features both on-rails and free-roaming sections. Part of what makes SoulStar unique is its use of sprites and scaling to build its 3D world instead of polygons like some of its contemporaries, such as Star Fox. SoulStar presents several challenges for the player to overcome. In this series, I'd like to share some of the strategies I've developed to overcome these challenges and progress through the game. Let's start with Stage 1, infiltrating the enemy warp ship. This stage features 4 phases: an on-rail section punching through the enemy's initial defenses, an on-rail section on a nearby planet's surface, an on-rail section charging towards the enemy warp ship, and finally a free-roaming section where the player must disable the ship and warp to the next level. In the first section, the player is meant to become familiar with the game's controls. The directional pad moves the player's ship up, down, left, and right. The A button fires the currently active weapon, and the B button changes the active weapon. Aside from playing around with the controls, the player should keep moving in a circular motion to avoid enemy fire. Your ship moves a bit faster than the enemy projectiles, so be careful not to turn too fast and fly back into the projectiles you were trying to avoid. The game also presents a few opportunities here to gain a couple power-ups. The initial wave of fighters will drop additional shield energy if destroyed. This is a ring of blue orbs with an empty center. Fly through it to gain the energy. After the wave of fighters, you will next encounter a wave of oscillating sentries. At the center of these enemies is an upgrade for your main laser, increasing its damage. This will be a ring made up of red and blue orbs with a C at the center. Fly into the ring to grab the power-up. Your laser will now shoot devastating O's. Other secondary weapons, such as missiles, will occasionally drop. These will be distinguished with different letters. Grab them if you can. They will help you later in the stage. Besides that, the game takes it easy on the player. Just dodge oncoming obstacles and keep moving to avoid enemy fire. When destroyed enemies drop dark orbs, shoot them to reveal power-up rings. Soon you will fly down to the surface of the nearby planet. This section provides a few more opportunities to take damage, as you must deal with enemies in the air, turrets on the ground, and the negotiation of obstacles. Your primary focus should be on destroying the ground units and avoiding the dangerous pillars protruding into the air. Turrets on the ground will be the most likely cause of damage. As long as you are moving from side to side, weapon fire from the air units should miss you. If you hit a patch with no ground units, there's no harm in increasing your altitude and shooting down a few of the flyboys. The only other targets of interest are combat mechs that are taking off from the planet. When seen, you only have a few moments to get off some shots and try to destroy them. Each destroyed mech drops shield rings, so this area can be a great opportunity to beef up your shields. After a couple of minutes here, you'll move on to the final assault on the warp ship. The third section plays much like the first. Just continue to keep moving, nailing targets as you get a bead on them. The final wave of enemies in this section are a swarm of space spiders. They are aggressive and appear in moderate numbers. My best advice is to focus on firing towards the center of the screen, but bob in and out of the center to dodge their fire. It can be tricky to keep their numbers down, but persistent laser fire can win the day. After passing them, you enter the final section, the interior of the warp ship. There are 2 objectives here. 1. Destroy the computer at the center of the ship. 2. Activate one of the 3 warp gates and escape before the ship explodes. This is also the first free roaming area you will encounter in the game. It is important to consider the control scheme at this point. The controls serve 3 functions. Allow the ship to change and fire its weapons. Allow the ship to fly forwards, backwards, and turn. Allow the ship to strafe and change altitude. With only 3 face buttons and a digital directional pad to accomplish this, controlling the ship can be a little cumbersome. The A button fires the active weapon, the B button changes the active weapon, the C button is used in conjunction with the directional pad to navigate the ship into 3D space. This is where things get a little complicated. Alright, when the C button is held down, up and down on the control pad changes the ship's altitude. When the C button is not being pressed, up and down on the control pad moves the ship forward and backward. When the C button is being held down, left and right rotate the ship, changing the direction it's facing. When the C button is not being pressed, left and right will do slightly different things depending on whether the ship is currently moving or not. The player's ship has inertia and will not come to a complete stop when the player stops pressing up or down. If the ship is moving, the player's ship will turn, as if the C button was being pressed, while continuing to move. If the ship is stationary, the ship will strafe left and right. In addition, when the player's ship is moving forward, their laser shots will be aiming downward. When the player's ship is moving backward, their laser shots will be aiming upward. Altogether, this can be a source of major frustration. Mastering when to press the C button, mitigating the nuances of strafing, and leveraging when to aim your laser up and down is key to making it through this section. So now to use our ship's unique controls to finish this level. The interior of the warp ship is populated by a few different kinds of enemies. There is the ship's computer at the center, drones that fly around and zap your ship from above, turrets that protect vital components of the ship, and guard robots that roam the grounds. We must destroy the ship's computer before warping to level 2. However, the computer is heavily guarded. We should first destroy the ship's defenses. This means taking out the turrets and guard robots. If we don't do this, the fight with the computer and subsequent rush to activate one of the warp terminals will be perilous. Sticking to the outskirts of the ship's core, roam around with a low altitude until one sees a turret or two in the distance. It shouldn't take long as there are a couple near where you begin the level. Once pointed towards the turret, stop moving and begin strafing left and right while firing your weapon. The lack of forward motion should allow you to strafe, avoiding the turret's fire, and ensure that your lasers are firing straight ahead. Keep enough distance from the turret to ensure that you can react and dodge its shots. If you need to adjust your aim, wait to stop moving, hold C, and press left or right to adjust. If you need to keep dodging enemy fire while doing this, switch between turning the ship and moving backwards while paying attention to your velocity before trying to turn. You can slowly make your way around the perimeter of the core, taking out the turrets. You will occasionally run into guard robots. They may approach you from the back or sides as well as the front. The guards make a telltale sound when they get close, and also give away their position when they fire their unique orange lasers. The key here is to take your time, stay away from the computer at the center, and leverage your distance to strafe and shoot. The goal here is to make your way around the stage and take out all the turrets and guard robots. As long as you keep moving, the flying drones from above should deal minimal damage. If you find yourself in a clearing, you can also backpedal, thus aiming your laser upward, and take down the drones without risking collision with them. This is only a temporary measure, however, as the drones will respawn in a short time. If your shields get low, there are light bulb-looking targets near the corners of the map that will spawn shield rings when destroyed. Stock up on shields before going after the boss. Once the area is cleared of turrets and guards, it's time to destroy the central computer. When you get close to the center of the stage, you will begin to hear an alarming beep. This beep will intensify as you get closer and stay in the area longer. Get close enough and the battle with the computer will begin. Once started, you cannot leave the immediate vicinity of the computer. This makes clearing the stage beforehand even more important. The trick here is to use your altitude to avoid the computer's attacks. The computer will attack in 2 ways. 1. It will fire 3 sets of orange lasers. 2. It will throw the armor protecting its core out towards you. Oscillate up and down to draw the laser fire and dodge it. After the 3rd set of lasers, move your ship to the extreme top or bottom and wait. Just before the core's armor is thrown out, change your altitude to avoid the attack. Once exposed, change your weapon to missiles, if you have them, and fire at the exposed core. You should be able to get off 4 or 5 missile attacks before the armor retracts to protect the core. Change your altitude to avoid the returning armor. Repeat this pattern until the core is destroyed. With all this movement, you may drift towards the computer a bit. If need be, back up before resuming the attack to give yourself some space to work. Once the core is destroyed, the ship will begin to self-destruct. Now it's time to activate the warp gate and get out of here. As you made your way around destroying the turrets, you may have come across the warp gates. They stand out as red circles with a walled blue trail leading towards the outside of the stage. At the end of these trails, opposite the red circle, is our next targets, the power pylons. The power pylons are metallic spikes protruding from the ground with 2 orbs orbiting around their base. There should be one to the left side and one to the right side of the trail. The orbs on both pylons must be destroyed. Shoot them with your lasers. For the best effect, I like to aim just to the side of the pylons so I catch the orbs through a significant portion of their arc. Once both orbs are destroyed on a pylon, the pylon will move into position for warp. Once both pylons are in position, the warp portal will open. Fly back to the red circle and press A while pointed towards the portal. Your ship will launch through the portal and level 1 will be completed. Come back next time to see how things shake out on the other side of the portal. What sort of challenges will we face next? Until next time.